Well, it's not the worst video I've done. Hi, it's Chris, Barton Chase Photography. Thank you very much for tuning in. You find me here at home. You also find me in this rather glorious vintage suit, which cost me £12. It's nearly 70 years old and it is absolutely immaculate and it feels like it's been tailored for me. And also appropriate because we're taking a little bit of a trip back in time. When I first started in photography, it became very clear very quickly that what really excited me about photography was when there were people in it. And so I got into street photography. And what I thought it would be nice to actually do is to, well, initially I was going to actually do a little bit of a street photography tutorial, but it seemed one of the most pointless things that I can actually do as a video at the moment because we can't go out and do a street photography. So I thought I'd show you a few of my images, 5 of them. They're not my all-time favourite images, well, one of them is, but 5 images, and I wanted to talk you through why I actually like them and why I think they work as street photography, if that makes any sense. A couple of things to actually say first, and that is street photography is a very forgiving medium, sort of. I'll explain that. There are photographers out there, and bear in mind everything that I'm saying here is an opinion, it's mine. Saying that street photography is one of the few areas where I actually feel like I can talk about it with a sense of authority, and that is because of what I went out and did, and also the sheer amount of research I did beforehand. So while I wouldn't do that with modelling, with street photography, if you don't mind me saying, I do feel like I can talk about it with a certain sense of authority. And skipping on to that, there is certain photographers out there that go and do street photography and they worry more about the technical side and getting a technical perfect image. And that doesn't matter that much with street photography. Some of the greats have actually said it doesn't matter, and that's because you don't have that control over the scene that you would with modelling. So you can get things that are slightly out of focus. You can get things where it's slightly blurry, where it's the more important thing is that you're telling a story, you're getting a feeling, you've got some narrative to it. Far more important. In saying that, you also have got to focus on that story and narrative. You can't just take a picture of somebody on the street and say that's street photography. There's got to be some element to it, some sort of story, some sort of narrative, some sort of feeling. I've said that quite a lot, but that's what I mean to drill it home. So I've got 5 photographs to show you. Actually no, I've got 7 because there's 2 extra additionals that I want to put on here. So first one up. You probably have noticed if you follow my work that I work in colour. That's how I like to work as a photographer. The reason because of that is that turning black and white can be a little bit of a cop-out. If something doesn't work as a photograph, you turn it black and white and it just works. So my personal philosophy is a shot has to work in colour for it to have to work in black and white. It's not strictly true, but that's generally 90% of the time where I actually go. And this first shot is black and white. They all are, because generally speaking, I think black and white owns street photography. And I think you've got to be really, really good to do colour and street photography. And I enjoy seeing those. But generally I like black and white when it comes to street shots. And this one, I love it. I love the leading lines. I'm looking at it now. It's one of the very few shots that I've actually got that's actually on my wall. It's not one of my all-time favourite shots, but I do love it. I love the fact, I'm looking at it now when I see it, I love the fact that it could be a classic vintage shot, but it's obviously modern at the same time. And the thing about it is the leading lines are really good, the aspect is really good, the composition is really good. I'm talking about my own work, I shouldn't really put it this way, but I think so. But the most important thing is it wouldn't, and it didn't work in colour. It had to be turned black and white and be made more grainy. And I just love it. I think it's a very, very solid shot. The second one I want to talk to you about is there's a technique, well, technique is probably the wrong word for it. There is a style out there called spray and pray. And what it basically means is that you hold the shutter and you hope for the best that you record something worthwhile showing. You spray and pray that you've got something. It's not a good way of actually doing any sort of photography. I've got my own technique which I call spray and pray, which I'm going to subtitle down below so you see the difference. And this shot here, I could see this girl walking up from the train station and she kept turning back, and I knew at some point she was going to spin back and try and get a shot or take back a better look. So I predicted what she actually was going to actually do, and that is something you will find an awful lot of street photographers actually have. It's good intuition to predicting something that is going to happen. So I got myself in position, ready to take the shot, and as soon as she did, bang, 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 took a few shots and got the ones that I wanted. Now, there's an extra to this, because I got 2 shots where I absolutely love her position. But there's slightly different changes in the way you can perceive the shot on bearing in mind on how the person next to her is looking at her. And I loved that. I loved that the story changes in the shot. You get a different perception from it. So spray and pray is a technique if you can see something that you are going to actually capture. You can see something's about to happen. And that is one of the things that I actually brought up during when I used to do street photography courses, which I am going to be doing again. I'd already gotten to the point of actually starting to plan one, then this all went down and I put it on a hiatus. But if you're interested in doing street photography, I will be doing some courses when things return to normal, hopefully. Next one, and I love this one, and I love it for, well, take a look. It's a charity worker was talking to a guy on the street, and when I saw them, there was an obvious connection between them. There was sparks flying, and I loved this shot. It feels like it's still from a film, and I like how it captured a little bit of that. I mean, right now, considering how they were talking to each other, I'd like to believe they're together today. This is many years, 5, 6, 7 years old, something like that. I don't know, I didn't take a look at the date, but it's a very old shot, so hopefully today they're living together, happily married, house, all that sort of stuff. But I love that it captures that little bit of connection between them. Next shot, another 2 for 1. I'm going to show you this first one. Now, the first one is slightly comedic. It is the girl walking along, the guy has just turned around and looked, and the old guy's got it's sort of an automatic thing. It could be kind of interpreted as funny, as well as slightly disturbing at the same time. Now I'll show this for you 2 points, because it links onto the next photograph, which is the important one that I want to show you. And that's because you don't have to show something nice. You can tell a story, you can tell a narrative, and sometimes that can be unpleasant. And just don't go out and take pictures of homeless people, because 1, it's deeply offensive. 2, it seems to whenever somebody wants to actually show something that's slightly thought-provoking, they go out and try to get somebody who's homeless. Not a good way of actually going about. But this shot is kind of funny, kind of disturbing at the same time. This next shot is definitely unsettling. I won't say that I like it, but I like what it shows, and that is, it is disturbing. It's an uncomfortable photo to actually look at. Now, I did choose this one because it also shows that being slightly out of focus, which the girl is, that's not the point of the shot. Technically, it's not a brilliant photo, but it does highlight something, and it does highlight a rather perverted sort of aspect of male nature. It's unpleasant, it's disturbing, it's not something I feel comfortable looking at, but I do think it fulfills a narrative, a point, and it does belong in my portfolio because of that. So, the unpleasantness over, I want to finish off with this one, which I think is a nice one. It was taken in York, and I love the shot. This is definitely in there with my all-time favourite street photography shots, and I'm not even going to say that much about it. Just look at her face. It's a busker and what I presume is his girlfriend on the streets in York, and you can just see the affection and love there. Her expression says everything. It's just such a sweet, sweet, sweet shot. Anyway, let me know if you want me to do more of these. I'm going to put some more of my street photography shots over the end credits. You know what's coming next, hopefully. If you don't, you'll see in a few seconds. But anyway, you guys stay safe, look after yourself. Hopefully one day we'll all be out again, we can do street photography and other wonderful things. You all stay safe, take care of yourself, be healthy, lots of love. My name's Chris, this has been Barton Chase, signing out. Cue the end credits. Bye guys.